Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany and I'm going to be your moderator and presenter for Gulf Coast Bariatrics Lifestyle Class number 1. The title of the class today is It's Not a Short-Term Diet, It's a Long-Term Lifestyle Change. So before we get started with this class, there's some homework that we just need to clean up and clarify prior to getting started. The first thing is that if you are viewing this, then you've already been to Dr. Bass for a consultation for weight loss surgery. When you came in the office for your consultation, I met you in the room, and you would have met Amber at the front desk, and you would have received at the conclusion of your appointment a purple folder with information on the weight loss surgery of interest. Either a gastric sleeve or gastric bypass, or possibly both if you're not decided, as well as a exam and consent for surgery. We encourage you to make sure you are reading through everything in your folder so that if you have any questions about the surgery itself or risks and complications related to surgery, that you can get those questions answered by Dr. Bass at your next appointment. Also in your folder is going to be a little packet of some orders that you need to complete in order to work through this process towards weight loss surgery. One would be a psychological evaluation, second would be a registered dietitian evaluation, and then you may see some referrals for specialty clearances, cardiac, pulmonary, your primary doctor, as well as possibly a separate lab form. Those things are all things that you need to take a look at, make sure you're getting your appointments scheduled, and if you have any questions about any of those referrals, you're going to want to pick up the phone and call the office and speak to Amber regarding those appointments. It is important that you get started making those appointments, because one of the things we have to document once you've been into the office is that you're getting started in your preparatory program, and that we are noting compliance in the process. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get on through Lifestyle Class 1. So without further ado, let's get started on talking about lifestyle changes. The goal of today will be to understand how sugars and starches and proteins affect your blood sugar and your hunger management. The second goal is to learn the role of protein intake, both in your pre-op and post-op weight loss surgery process and journey. And the third is how to implement a protein drink and vitamins successfully, and why it is important to your overall health, both now in this pre-op process and also for the long-term post-op. You should have received the information in this PowerPoint presentation via email, along with the video link itself, obviously, if you're viewing it. If you have not received the PDF, please feel free to reach back out to us so that we can provide you with the PDF of this presentation. So why are you hungry all the time? It's a great question. Let's talk about it. Let's dive into it and figure it out so that hopefully you can start to make some of these changes going into your weight loss surgery procedure. Let's talk about the sugar roller coaster. Many of you may find, especially if you are a snacker or a grazer, that when you do reach for those snacky foods, so typically snacky foods are going to be your starches, your boxed and your packaged items, your crackers, your pretzels, your cookies, candy. Could be a sugary drink like a regular Gatorade or a sweet tea. You may find that when you consume those items that you feel full, you feel good. You are emotionally and physically satisfied and ready to move on. However, what is really going on is that you ate that sugary, that starchy item, and it took you up the hill of the roller coaster to feel good mentally and physically. Your brain's happy, your stomach's happy, your liver's happy, you're happy. What you don't realize sometimes is that as you're hitting that peak within 30 minutes, you're also starting down the other side within 30 minutes. And so as you come down the other side, you're finding that you're looking for food again because you're hungry. Your brain and your stomach and your liver are all saying that you're hungry again. So they're not emotionally together anymore. You've got much conflict going on between the brain, your stomach, and your liver. And that's all a result of eating sugars and starches. And if you're a snacker, say at work, you're eating every couple of hours and you're throwing crackers, and again, or like cookies. If you work in an environment where there's a lot of junk in a kitchenette, you might be picking here and picking there. Well, all that picking adds up. And so when all that picking adds up, if we took a look at what your total consumption of carbohydrates and sugars would be in a day, it usually is somewhere between 2 times to 3 times where it really needs to be. But what it's also doing is it's putting your brain and your stomach and your liver in a frenzy. Because while you might have had lunch or breakfast, or you might have skipped and you snack throughout the day and you say, oh, I don't eat much, but you're snacking all day long. So if you're starting your day out with a bagel or a croissant or a bowl of cereal, and then you are getting to work and you're having some kind of snack, maybe mid-morning, and then you have lunch, what you brought for your lunch, but it's a sandwich with 2 slices of bread, or it's a pasta salad, or it's some kind of other starchy item, and then you're having a mid-afternoon snack because you're hungry and you're just getting out from work, or you just got home from work and you don't eat dinner until 5 or 6 o'clock, and then for dinner you have planned either some pasta or maybe a protein, but maybe it comes with a baked potato, and then come 7, 8 o'clock at night, now you're looking at, oh, I'm hungry again, and now you're having that bowl of ice cream, or you're having a bowl of cereal, or you're having some crackers, or you're having some pretzels. So your total consumption all day becomes double, triple, quadruple of the amount of carbohydrates and starches that you really should be having. And what you're sacrificing is protein. And protein is what we're going to focus on today, and how you can start to incorporate protein into your daily meal planning. And I emphasize planning, because this is going to take some planning to get this corrected and get you off the sugar roller coaster. Protein will definitely guide you down a smoother road emotionally and physically. And it's something that usually is sacrificed currently in your daily routine, because if you were truly focusing on protein, you would feel more satisfied, and possibly not that you wouldn't still be here seeking surgery, but you would find that the protein is working for you instead of against you. How do you increase your protein intake? 3 main ways. You're going to start implementing a daily protein drink as a meal replacement. Yes, a meal replacement. We do usually say to have that protein drink daily for your breakfast, because if you start your day on the right note, then a lot of times you're more likely to end your day on the right note. A protein drink for breakfast, depending on your work schedule. So if you work nights, your breakfast might be different than somebody who works days. But 1 meal per day should be a protein drink. And we'll talk more about part of the reason why, but it's going to help you to meet those daily protein goals a whole lot easier if you're taking in one protein drink per day. If you're starting your day with a protein drink, it's also going to help curb some of that hunger. So we're going to talk about that too. Second, you're going to choose protein first at mealtime. If you're doing a protein drink for breakfast, then for lunch, you might want to consider packing a salad with a form of protein on it: chicken, beef, shrimp. But you're going to focus on eating that protein first before you focus on eating the salad. And that's going to drive your protein intake up also. It's also going to drive your feeling of fullness up sooner than if you consume the veggie part of your salad. Dinner time, again, you're going to focus on eating your, say, 4, 6, 8 ounces of protein, whatever's on your plate, and consuming all of that before you're tapping into a starch that might be on your plate. We usually recommend protein in a vegetable, whatever kind of vegetable you like. And if you're still hungry after you eat your protein in a vegetable, then having a few bites of that starch, whether it's a potato or it's rice or it's a small amount of pasta. At the end of the day, your meal planning needs to revolve around your protein intake. Everything from this day forward about planning your meals and planning your day needs to be protein focused. And this is not something for the short term. This is something for now and for the rest of your life to be successful with your operation for the long term. And I want to talk a little bit about that too, because many of you are using insurance. Most of you are using your insurance for a benefit towards weight loss surgery. And you need to understand that there isn't a second chance for most people to have another operation because you failed the first time around. Even if you do have the ability to get another operation because and I don't want to say fail, but say, for example, you gain your weight back because of not making lifestyle changes, your insurance probably doesn't have an option for round 2. And the effect of round 2 is never the same as round 1. So the more you work to make changes now prior to surgery to be successful after surgery and continue to make change after surgery is going to be very, very important for the long-term success. You want to make this the last time you have to do something, and this is not a diet. Diets come and go. Diets result in weight loss and weight gain. This is about a lifestyle change. So meal planning around your protein is a lifelong commitment. Let's talk about protein drinks. How do you choose a protein drink? A couple of the nutritional guidelines. You're going to be looking on the either back of the container, whatever it may be, a premixed protein drink or a powder. You're going to be looking at calories. Your calories you're going to want to be at about 150 calories or less. Your protein at 20 to 25 grams per serving. You will find there are protein powders and premixed drinks that might have 40 to 45 grams of protein in them, and you say, oh, this is great. I'm going to get all the bang for my buck with this high protein drink that has 40 to 45. I'll get this in 30 minutes. I'm halfway through my protein intake for the day. Don't go so fast. Your body is only going to absorb about 20 to 25 grams, maybe 30 grams of protein at a time. Those super duper high protein drinks of 40, 45 grams, leave them for the bodybuilders. That's not anybody we're talking about here. The excess protein that you don't absorb really comes out in your urine. And so stick with something that is the basic 20 to 25. If you find one that you like that has that boost of 40, 45, 50 grams of protein per serving, split it in two. Get 2 for 1. Carbohydrates, less than 5 grams. Sugars are less than 3 grams, and fat is less than 3 grams. That is your basic label when you look at the nutritional guidelines on the back of either the drink box or bottle or the tub of powder. Why protein drinks? We talked a little bit about this earlier. It helps you to reach and maintain 80 grams of protein daily. 80 grams is the minimum amount of protein that you really are going to need to consume after surgery every single day. And I say minimum because most people could use a little bit more than that, sometimes up to 100, sometimes up to 120 grams, especially for some males. It improves your daily nutrition intake, especially when you include a bariatric multivitamin with that protein drink. We are going to get into vitamins a whole lot more in your pre-op journey, but what you need to understand is also for the rest of your life, you're going to be taking a multivitamin. And at a minimum for the first year, you need to be taking a bariatric specific multivitamin in order to get all the nutrients that you need at the levels you need. When you schedule your appointment with Cassandra, the registered dietitian, you will get more information on vitamin supplementation, and this is not optional. So protein and vitamins right now are going to be two things that you can automatically assume are going to be part of your lifestyle for the long term after surgery. What else does protein do? Well, it helps to maintain weight loss. It helps to boost weight loss. So a lot of times if you would have a plateau in your weight loss, we would definitely question whether you're hitting 80 grams of protein or whether you need to get a little bit more protein. 9 times out of 10, we will find when patients hit a plateau, after they've been out of surgery for about 3 months or so, and you're able to easily consume 80 grams in a day, that if you're slacking on that 80 grams of protein and you're really not consuming a dense carbohydrate diet, that your plateau is a result of not enough protein. So logging and really knowing how much protein you get per day and trying to reach that 80 grams consistently every day becomes a number one priority. It also, when you are taking in 80 grams of protein, works to keep your carbohydrate level down because you're satisfied. And if you're satisfied, then you're not going to be looking for something to eat. And when you're not looking for something to eat, you're not looking for usually a starch or a sugar. A big bonus in increasing your protein is that as you lose weight, it helps to maintain muscle mass. I can't emphasize enough how important protein is to your overall healing after surgery and maintaining your muscle mass. Everybody who loses weight, even if you've been on a diet, doesn't matter what diet it is, and you've lost 20 pounds or you've lost 50 pounds, you have lost muscle mass. And unless you're in the gym pumping iron, and it doesn't have to be heavy weight, you're not gaining that muscle mass back. What you're gaining back is fat. And as you go through this journey and you are working on a new lifestyle, muscle is so important to your recovery from surgery, and it's so important to your weight loss process, and it's so important to a healthier you going into your, say, an older age. Or if you're already an older age, maintaining as much possible muscle as you can. Muscle will burn more calories than fat at rest. So if you're doing nothing, the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn. muscle does weigh more than fat, so sometimes patients will be concerned because they start strength training and they don't find that they're losing right away. Well, part of why you're not losing is because you're maintaining muscle. And then you have to take a good look with the registered dietitian and possibly a personal trainer as to how you can change up your workouts to burn more calories and more fat versus muscle and continue to build muscle or maintain muscle. As far as protein drinks are concerned, there is a ton of them on the market. As long as it fits the nutritional guidelines, there's no right or wrong in what you choose. Many patients will say to me, so what's the best one? What's the best protein drink? What's the best bariatric multivitamin? The best one is the one that you are going to be consistent with, the one that you are going to like, and that you are going to get up every day and put your feet on the floor and be compliant with. The best one isn't what I like. The best one is what you like and what you tolerate and what's going to make you successful. But as far as different kinds, there's clear ones, there's powders that you can mix, there's premix that are more of a milky consistency. I encourage all patients to try all of them because different ones may fit at a different time. Your taste buds may change. Your taste buds will definitely probably change after surgery, whereas now most patients tend to like a sweeter one, and after surgery, not so much. Get out there and try a powder, try a clear one, try recipes making your own, try the premix ones, try the vegetable-based ones versus the whey isolates. See how they sit in your GI tract. Maybe you'll find you don't tolerate ones that have a lot of lactose in and that you're a little lactose intolerant. If that's the case, that's not going to change after surgery. Look for a different one. At the end of the day, one protein drink every single day and make it a lifestyle. You can incorporate a second protein drink in a day if you have a particular time of day that you feel like you're engaging in some self-sabotage by snacking. Maybe it's that get home from work and you've got a few hours between work and dinner, or you're on that drive home from work and your routine used to be to swing through Starbucks for some big caramel macchiato crazy coffee drink. And so you're getting all those starches and sugars until you have dinner. Maybe your routine is that bowl of ice cream at night before you go to bed. Maybe it's in the morning you have your protein drink as a meal replacement, but everybody has a mid-morning snack or meet up at the kitchenette or goes to Starbucks to get that coffee drink. These are all places that if you're having trouble with snacking behavior or self-sabotage, that you can actually add a second protein drink in your day. And kudos to you if you do, because now you've gotten closer to half of the amount of protein that you need to get in a day. Use your protein drinks. They are there to help you. There is no reason that you can't find one you like, or you can't mix up one you like, or you can't find one that you tolerate, because there are so many out there. This is a list of some premixed protein drinks. Premier I have at the top because it tends to be the most popular of protein drinks. But there's so many. There's Equate, there's Ensure, Evolve, which is a plant-based. Owen is another plant-based. There's an Isopure, which is clear. The advantages and why patients tend to like the Premier Protein is because they're an easy grab and go. There's no mixing, there's no mess, they're well tolerated, they're pretty well liked, and you can put them in your fridge and throw them in your lunch bag, and off to work you go the next morning. They're readily available. You can find them at Publix. You can find them at your box stores as well as your local pharmacies. You can buy them online and at Amazon and Walmart. And you can also find them on bariatric-specific websites like Bariatric Pal, Bariatric Eating, Bariatric Fusion, Bariatric Advantage, and Unjury.com. I would encourage all of you to check out all those websites that are on the bottom under bariatric and medical specific products. They have a lot of good information, not just on protein drinks, but they have recipes, they have vitamin options, and I encourage you to be informed. Like I said earlier, another option is protein drink powder, which also Premier makes a powder, as well as Equate, which is the Walmart brand of protein. Nectar is a fruity flavor. That company tends to do powders, and they're mostly in different fruity type flavors that mix easily with water. And then you can get into your plant-based option, which is your Vega. Also, Evolve has now a protein drink powder available. Unjury is another very good company that has a non-GMO, unflavored powder that I encourage you to take a look at as well, especially if none of the drink options mentioned you have found to be to your liking. The Unjury unflavored, unsweetened is something that you can do in just about anything, including soups, and you can put it in things like cottage cheese or foods in general because it is heat tolerant. Some of the advantages to the powdered options, you can make it yourself. You just need to be very careful if you're making it yourself and you're putting it, say, in a Ninja or a blender, that you're also paying attention to your carb intake with it. Some people like to make smoothies, and I'm a big proponent of making smoothies, but you need to be sure that you're choosing, if you're going to put, say, fruit in it, your low glycemic index fruits, like your blueberries. If you're adding all kinds of sugars to your protein drink, then you're defeating the purpose of a low-calorie, low-carb protein drink option. And that's something that you can discuss further with Cassandra, the dietitian, when you meet with her. You can also look on some of the websites mentioned below for some low-carb protein drink recipes if you want to make your own. Pinterest is another good website that or app to type in that has just a ton of information on bariatric protein drinks, smoothies, pre-op, post-op diet, tons of different information. The disadvantage that many patients will tell me with making their own, even when they're having trouble finding a premix, is a time constraint. I will personally tell you that I make a protein drink every single morning. It takes me 5 minutes. I use what's called a blender bottle. It's a plastic bottle that has a whisk in it, a little ice, unflavored almond milk, a scoop of protein powder. I personally like plant-based, so I use the Vega. So a little more ice, mix it up real good, throw it in the freezer while I'm getting ready for work, and then I put it in my cooler bag. I come to work, and then I have my protein drink, and I'm all set for the morning. It really does not have to be something that you use a blender for. Now on the weekend, I might get out my Ninja and make myself a nice protein drink mid-morning and enjoy myself something a little bit different flavored. If you have questions about anything that we just talked about, protein drinks and the protein drink options, or reaching 80 grams of protein per day, my email is tiffany@lapdocs.com. Please don't hesitate to email me. I'm pretty good about responding to email within a day or two for non-emergencies. So if I can help, please do reach out. If you are going to send me emails about whether something that you found is a good option, please look back at the criteria on how to pick a protein drink and the nutritional requirements, the 150 calories or less, 20 to 25 grams of protein, less than 5 grams of carbs, less than 3 sugars, less than 3 fat. If it meets that, then try it, have at it. If it doesn't meet that, then it's not an option. But do feel free, if you come across something that you find confusing or you have questions about, to drop me an email. Let's talk about lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, so we have to talk about behavior changes. And I always say we operate on your stomach, but we don't operate on your brain. And your brain is complicated. I will also say that a lot of times it's your brain that got you here, not necessarily your stomach. And you can't have an operation like weight loss surgery, a sleeve, or a gastric bypass and not make behavior changes to be successful for the long term. And there's a lot of them that you have to make. So as we go through some of the behavior changes, I would encourage you to check mark the ones that you do pretty well and circle the ones that you need work on, and pick the ones that you need to really be working on a whole lot, and start working on those now while you have time in your pre-op process. The behavior changes that you're not bad at or that don't really affect you like some other patients, and we'll talk about some of them. Maybe you're already a slow eater. So if that's not a big deal to you, then cross that one off. Don't put another thought into it, and focus on maybe the behavior change of not eating and drinking at the same time. Make the ones that you really need to take charge of a priority right now. Starting now, not after surgery, now. Not the week before surgery, now. We talked in depth about protein drinks. This is not, starting a protein drink as a meal replacement is not an option for 1 week prior to surgery or the first week after surgery. You've had your surgery, now you're in a panic because now you better get that protein drink started. This is a now thing. And so most patients, this is a number one because most patients don't already consume a protein drink every day as a meal replacement. So that's going to be number one on your checklist. Number two on your checklist is taking a look at your daily hydration. If you are not a water drinker, this is going to be number two. You have to, the goal is 64 ounces of water per day. Half of that can be consumed in non-sugary beverages, caffeine, or I should say caffeine-free beverages, non-carbonated beverages. Your goal is going to be at a minimum 32 ounces of water, and the other 32 ounces can be unsweet tea, decaf coffee, decaf unsweet tea, Gatorade Zero, the low sugar electrolyte replacements, or vitamin water zero, I think they call it. Any of those work. Minimizing alcohol consumption, also something that dehydrates you. When you are on your liquid diet going into surgery, it's 7 days. You have to be hydrated. And being hydrated going into surgery means drinking as much water as possible and avoiding items that dehydrate you, like caffeine products, sodas, sugary products. And after surgery, it's even more important because now your stomach is either, say, the size of a golf ball or the size of my index finger, and you can only take a little bit in at a time. So you have to focus on hydration. Every drop counts. Number three, decrease your starch and your sugar intake. And this goes hand in hand with increasing your protein intake. I would almost combine both of these because if you're starting a protein drink as a meal replacement, then hopefully that is either taking the place of you skipping a meal, which you shouldn't do. so that you can increase your protein intake, or you're incorporating a protein drink or some other protein in place of some kind of starch, either as a snack or as a meal. Number four, avoid drinking with meals so that you can maximize your protein intake. We usually recommend no drinking for 30 minutes prior to meal and 30 minutes after a meal. This is going to be much more significant after surgery. We want that good protein to sit in your pouch as long as possible. And so it's a habit that if you don't ever put a glass of water on the table or a glass of something and drink with your meal, then this is one that you don't have to worry about. But a lot of people do drink and eat at the same time. So you're going to hydrate up until 30 minutes before mealtime. Eat your meal, let your good protein sit in your stomach and your pouch after surgery, and then 30 minutes you can start back to sipping. After surgery, it becomes significant because you will fill up easily, usually within somewhere between 1 to 3 bites of quality protein, and it forces you to have to wait. If you don't wait to drink, you may vomit up that good protein. And most people will do anything in their power to avoid vomiting, and you also just don't want to be sick. It's not an easy habit to break for some, which is why we need to start working on it now. Enjoying your protein first at every meal, again, goes back to the number one focus of reaching 80 grams of protein is focusing on your protein. The caveat to eating is, especially your denser proteins, is really focusing on small bites, chewing your food. It might be 20 times that you have to chew until it's kind of mushy, and putting your fork down, just basically slowing down. The behavior behind eating, some people already eat slow, great. Then this isn't one you have to worry about as far as speed. If you are a fast eater or you have a job that requires you to be a fast eater, you're going to have to slow it down. You're going to have to be careful. And for those of you that have jobs where you don't have time to focus on eating behavior during the day, a lot of times I recommend to patients in that situation to trade off their protein drink that they have in the morning as a meal replacement to maybe their lunchtime meal and have, say, an egg for breakfast, protein drink for lunch, and then their main meal of protein and a vegetable at dinner time. Protein drinks, while we want one to be a meal replacement and we recommend it for breakfast, they can also, you can work these into your lifestyle and your work schedule to suit you as well. Bariatric vitamin. We talked briefly about bariatric vitamins, and this is going to be a hot topic when you get your appointment with the dietitian. But if you currently don't take a multivitamin, it's time to get started, and it's not even so much just about creating the habit of taking a daily multivitamin. It's also about getting yourself in the healthiest possible form to go into surgery, and that means that your vitamin levels are within normal limits. You may find in your pre-op orders a few orders, or you might find them on your pre-op medical clearance for things like a B1 level, B12 level, vitamin D level. Those are all really important when you're having surgery. If your micronutrients are not within normal limits, then you could have complications related to vitamin levels. However rare, it can happen. That is why we recommend getting started on a bariatric multivitamin now, not waiting until a week prior to surgery. Let me just reiterate. There are two things that you need to be starting in your pre-op process now: a protein drink and a bariatric multivitamin. If you take a regular over-the-counter multivitamin like a Centrum or a Nature's Made, keep going on that, whatever you have, until it runs out or until you're in about a week prior to surgery, and make sure then that you have filtered through some of the bariatric multivitamins and found one that you like and works for you. Two priorities. Again, the now, not the later, not the week prior to surgery, not the week after surgery, not 3 months after surgery. Now. Start listening to your body. Let your body start giving you a sign that you've had enough. And a lot of times that sign only comes by slowing down your eating behavior, chewing better, putting your fork down, having good family conversation at dinner time, reading a book while you eat. Say, take a bite, read 2 pages, take another bite. I'm not a proponent of eating and watching TV unless you make it a game for yourself where you take a bite and you wait for commercial until you take your next bite. You're slowing down. You're giving your brain time to tell your stomach that it's actually had enough. And that can take a good 30 minutes. You may, if you eat fast and you eat that, say, 4 ounces of steak, if you just slowed it down and cut the time it took you to eat that steak in half, you might find that you don't eat the whole steak. Or you might find that you ate the whole steak and you take a break and that you don't need that potato on your plate. So slow it down and listen to all the signs that your body and your mind are giving you. Weight gain. This is a really, really important hot topic. We understand, especially Dr. Bass understands, that it is going to be really hard without a tool like surgery to lose weight. We get it. It's why we're here. It's why we've been doing this for over 20 years. But if you are gaining weight during this pre-op process, you are running the risk of several things. Number one being that your insurance may find that you're non-compliant. All of the information and all of those orders that we've asked you to complete, all of that goes to your insurance company. And if your weight outside of maybe a pound or 2 fluctuation, if you come back for your pre-op appointment and you've gained 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, it does not fare well for you for us to document compliance. It does not fare well to have the insurance authorize your surgery. So if you're making all the changes that we're talking about, again, protein drink, focusing on protein, taking your vitamin, you make those a priority, you should not gain weight. At a minimum, all we are asking is that you maintain the weight that you were at your consultation appointment. And if you don't know what that number was when you came in and I weighed you, then call the office or email me so that you do know. And if you can't do a weekly weight check in this pre-op process at home, you can feel free to stop into the office on a patient day. You can give Amber a call, ask her if it's okay to stop in and get weighed. We understand the importance of monitoring yourself and your goals and your changes prior to surgery, and we have to be able to document that you are trying to make change. We're not saying it's easy. In fact, we understand, because we're in the industry, how hard it is, and we want to help you. But you have got to want to help yourself. And your success for the long term is you helping yourself. We can give you an operation, but we can't make you make change. And if you're struggling to make change and you can't make change, get help. There are therapists that can help you, and you can work closely with the registered dietitian. You may only have a required 2 visits prior to surgery, or maybe you do have more visits prior to surgery. Work with Cassandra as much as you can. She will help to coach you. But if that's not enough, then work with a good therapist who can help you. The number one and number two causes of weight gain and falling off track are usually because of stressful times in a patient's life or constant change and the ability to adapt to constant change. So sometimes learning how to work on stress management, and I always group change in there because change is stressful and patients tend to revert back to old habits. And if you're going to revert back to old habits, then chances are you're going to gain weight back. And I know that that is the last thing that any of you want to happen. We also offer a monthly support group. I would encourage you to go on our website, gulfcoastbariatrics.com. There's a link for the monthly support group with Cassandra, and get into Cassandra's support groups. You don't always walk away from a support group and say that you've learned something new, but what you brought to the group or what you heard over for the 100th time might just click now on the 100th time. Or you might have helped somebody else if you chose to share your story. So you have a lot to work on. 9 different things to start on now. Put your protein intake as your number one priority. Take a look at the other things that you need to do and find the priority. Some you may not need to even focus on. And get it started today. So homework. We already went through the protein and vitamins. We know that that's number one. Logging and monitoring your weight so that you know that you're not gaining weight. Make sure you're reading through all your materials, writing down any questions that you may have. And if there's anything that I can answer for you, go ahead and drop me an email. If it's questions related to the surgery itself, risks and complications, those are things that you want to jot down and talk to Dr. Bass about at your next appointment. And then if you have questions about your orders, setting up the registered dietitian or your mental health or your specialty appointments, those are things that you'll call the office and speak to Amber about.